I don't think we're live. Are we live?
Do we even do a show these days?
I don't know.
I'm just going to come out and say it. I think Brandon looks different.
Yeah.
And by the way,
we did it.
We did it. Everyone, welcome to Clickbait Sports. It is, what is it, week 3 now already in the National Football League. We are joined by a special guest today, EJ Snyder from Bootleg Football. EJ, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience here? You are our guest.
We'll put you in
expert.
solo stream.
Yes.
Solo stream. Yeah, no pressure.
Just you, EJ.
Just me. I can hang on. I can do it. No, I'm EJ Snyder. I'm half of Bootleg Football, half of Bears Over Beers, which is more the reason I'm here today to talk about the absolute detritus that is professional football in Chicago. And yeah, I know all 3 of these jokers from other random and various, let's just call them adventures.
There you go. Yeah, that's kind of the breaking news that hit before we went live. Yeah,
yes.
Trayvon Diggs, ACL, he's out for the year.
He's torn ACL on a non-contact play in practice.
It was like one-on-one, right? It was just one-on-one drills, tore his ACL, gone, just got a huge contract in the offseason, and yeah, he's out for the whole year. So that's a huge loss for...
Also, an update for Thursday night, Brandon Ayuk is not expected to play tonight.
Yeah, I saw last time he was questionable, so...
Yeah, so Ayuk's out, and Saquon and Andrew Thomas are both out, too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a massacre.
Yeah, it's going to still be ugly as a Giants fan. We'll preview that game at the end of the show. Just to give a little rundown of what we're covering today, obviously we're going to cover the Chicago Bears, but before we get to that, we have this man here.
Birthday.
The author of... Sports Ball, whatever that series that he does. I don't know what he does.
I was like, did you write a book?
Yeah, I wrote a tell-all expose about Clickbait Sports. We're talking about Five's gambling addiction. Tom has a nasty drug habit, and I can't stop drinking. And I went to rehab 4 separate times.
Pick up a hobby.
Really, rehab's for quitters. And then we have Tom Grossi down here in the bottom right, still not fully recovered from his stadium tour. Right.
Well, if I was, then, bashing my head through a marble countertop didn't help. So,
quick question. How's your back doing? I know that was pretty bad once you hit Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
Is that healed up?
Yeah, back's... every now and then at like 2 a.m., like when I'm like brushing my teeth or I'm like washing my face, I'll feel like a little twinge in the back, like right where that area is. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be feeling that forever. And then we just move forward. That's it.
You're going to be 75 and still feeling phantom pain about jumping through that table.
But it'll be worth it, right? It'll be worth it. Okay, we're going to talk about the Bears. We're going to talk about Justin Fields' comments. I guess with kid gloves, we'll talk about Alan Williams. We don't want to speculate or go over anything that isn't true or is not true. We'll just give what we know from an outsider perspective. And then Nick Chubb's injury. That was ugly. Yeah. Kareem Hunt is back. And then a Thursday night preview. And then obviously we've got all these news as they're coming in with Trayvon Diggs. I just want to ask a question before we dive into all this. Who would be a bigger loss to the Cowboys defense? Trayvon or Micah Parsons?
That's not even a question. That's Five. What is that question?
It's got to be Parsons. Parsons is just an absolute wrecker in that front. Like, he's the modern Lawrence Taylor. Trayvon is a big loss. He's been a shutdown corner. He's probably been the best ranked corner in football right now. So it will hit their pass defense. But, I mean, if Micah Parsons keeps destroying our lines like he has, it's not going to be as big as a loss as, say, losing Parsons.
Parsons is just a game wrecker. I mean, Trayvon Diggs, listen, we make fun of him because he gets burned every now and then, right? But his interception numbers were always decently high. So at this point, it is a big loss. Bringing in Stephon Gilmore, if he can still live up to how he was with Indianapolis last year, is good news. But without Trayvon Diggs, it's definitely gonna hurt. But then
do we have any
backs can't throw, then that works too.
Do we have any punishments, by the way?
I slept for 8 hours.
You slept for 8 hours?
That's
Friday
a good
into
punishment.
Was
Saturday.
it consecutive though? Was it?
No, it was Friday into Saturday. I woke up once, so it was two halves. So I got that, but then I did it again Saturday into Sunday. Saturday was my birthday, and I was like, I'm gonna live it up. So I slept. It was nice.
You lived it up by sleeping.
Hell yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Just to be clear, are there punishments for sleeping?
No, this was like a nice punishment.
Oh,
okay.
yes, it was his birthday, so we let him.
Nice
We let him off the hook, like
Forced him to sleep.
yes, as a Denny Green would say. All right, let's talk about these Bears. Let's dive into it. This is the topic of the show. My first question for you, EJ: how bad is Justin Fields? How bad really is Justin Fields? Are we not seeing something here? Like, what are we seeing something different than you're seeing?
No, I think most people are seeing the same thing. And there's been a lot of breakdowns over the last couple of weeks in terms of film breakdowns on the internet and breakdowns on the field as well. Justin Fields right now is like, I mean, you're a baseball guy. He's like a baseball hitter that's in a bad slump. And he's a good hitter. Like, we've seen all the things he needs to do to play quarterback in the NFL at a high level, but they are not being put together. And right now, very few of them are coming out. And you know when a guy gets in a slump that everything goes backwards, right? They swing at pitches they shouldn't. They hold off on pitches they should rip. They start thinking about it. Then they just completely sort of collapse. You know, they might spin themselves out of the shoes in the batter box. Like, he's doing all that right now on the field in front of everybody. He's holding up on open throws. He's taking off and hitting checkdowns when he shouldn't be. He's staying in the pocket when he should clearly leave. Like, everything's just wrong right now. And some of that is clearly him. Absolutely. There is enough blame to go around here. People say, oh, all the time, is it Getsy or is it Fields? Is it Getsy or is it Fields? It's both. Like, Getsy's called some good plays and guys have been open and Fields hasn't hit them. So that's what he's supposed to do as an offensive coordinator. And he's called some really shitty plays. He's had some terrible sequencing. He's done some really awful things as a coach. Like, that happens. Fields is the same. He's had a few good plays, only really 2 good drives that he put together end to end on the year so far. But on other plays, you see everything you need to see. You see accuracy, arm strength, decision-making, all that stuff, but it doesn't come together. And there's mistakes spread all over the rest of the team at the same time. So, like, true assessment of, like, is he good or is he bad right now is kind of impossible.
So what I'm hearing, before I cut you off, Tom, is that he should wear a gold thong to get him out of this slump, like Derek Jeter did back in the day.
I was going to say that there's probably some major league parallel here. You know, I don't know if you really want a picture of the owner in the locker room in this particular case, but you know, there you go.
I don't think anybody needs to see Virginia McCaskey like that.
No.
Well, I feel like there's a couple of things, because I feel like it's not a totally dissimilar situation than when it was with Trubisky. I think Fields obviously has a different skill set than Trubisky did, but Trubisky, the best he was when he had a great ground game, they had a great defense, and they were allowing him to be mobile, right? He was able to get out of the pocket a little bit. That's when they went to the wild card round, double doink, but they at least went to the postseason. And now, like, what you have here, like, when they hired Eberflus, I think the general consensus was like, oh, okay. Like, there wasn't like a lot of excitement. It was like, all right, that's cool. It's this guy. And the problem, you threw him to the wolves, and that offensive line has not been good. I know Tevin Jenkins has been injured and stuff, but like the O-line is not good. And it's a mix of, it's kind of tough to even see if he's good or bad. Because, like you said, like, there's some points where it's like, yeah, he can play. Of course, he ran the football a lot when they actually let him run last year. But the play calls have been atrocious. The O-line is not good. The run game is basically non-existent. And Fields is also struggling. Oh, and you also don't have a defense. So it's basically like you got DJ Moore, who is this amazing receiver in the clip that's like making rounds right now, is that you have Devin White going, hey, they ain't using you like they should. And it's week 2. He's played 2 games with the Chicago Bears, and you have Devin White going, man, like, you're not being utilized properly. Like, there is trouble in Chicago. And I think it's, again, the problem is you can't even pin it on Justin Fields.
Nope,
you have to pin it on multiple people. And it's kind of an organizational issue right now. In my
who's doing the super chats? Have we displayed them all? Okay.
Yeah, no, I
don't know what the order is.
Speaking of the offensive line, too, do you think there are any internal solutions? Because I know Braxton Jones is on IR. He might be out for the year. Nate Davis was a big free agent signing, but unfortunately he has had family issues. He's been on personal leave. There have been a lot of question marks about him. So do you think there's anything internally, or is it just going to be just pray?
It's closer to pray at this point, and it kind of was going into the offseason. They were sure, very sure, the Bears organization, that they had the interior offensive line sewn up. They believed. I did not believe that. I was very surprised. If anybody followed my pre-draft coverage, I was hot and heavy for the Bears to get a center. It was a very good center class. There were 6 or 7 good centers all the way down the board. And I was stunned at the end of day 3 that they hadn't gone there, because then I sat down and I said, why did this happen? And I was like, oh my God, they think they have it. Like, whatever it is, they either think Lucas Patrick is going to perform that role, which he didn't last year. I know he was injured.
I can speak on his behalf.
No. And I thought, well, then maybe they're going to move Whitehair back. And Whitehair had his struggles there as well. And he had a lot of struggles last year at guard, and was like, okay, maybe he'll have his renaissance, right? Maybe he'll come. But they think that's it. They think they've got it sewed up. They didn't do anything because they think they're set. And then we come into it. Tevin gets hurt as the first domino. Now you move Whitehair over to guard. You move Patrick back to center. Both of those guys are getting wasted on a regular basis. Nate Davis has been in the lineup for 1 game. He had some good moments, a lot of movement in the run game, some terrible moments, knocking other blockers off their blocks, some really bad reps in pass pro. In general, he played okay for his first game with no practice throughout training camp. But like, here's your big free agent signing, and that's it. Now you lose your, I was going to say promising left tackle, but he was more promising last year because, again, the issues have been spread all the way across the line. And then you got your first-round pick, Darnell Wright, who is having, I would say, typical rookie struggles, but he should be getting support from the other 4 guys. And right now they're dropping the ball more often than he is. So he's just like, Jesus, what do I do here? The entire thing's a mess. No, there's nobody. I mean, maybe Tevin comes back and that helps stabilize the 1 guard position. Nate's back in the building now. We'll see if he stabilizes the right guard position, but they still don't have anything at center. Who knows what they're going to run out at left tackle? Larry Borum, maybe. And, maybe Wright stabilizes, but there's no good, like, oh, there's this great young rookie and it's time for him to step up.
Right. And that just goes back to Fields. Like, can you really blame Fields when you're naming all these issues here? And I know they don't sound like, they're not excuses. Like, obviously Fields has to step up and make the right reads and execute. Obviously, like, for me as a football fan, like, I think execution will always supersede bad play calling. Like, yeah, you call a draw on 3rd down, but if you execute, then you can make up for your idiot offensive coordinator because you're just a better team, or you're doing what he intended to do. Now, yes, some play calls are dumb, but to me, play calling is not as important as the personnel on the field. That I will always believe that. So
I think it's a number of things too, is because the Bears fan base was like super hyped this offseason, right? And like, they talked a lot of stuff. Not everybody, of course, but even if you didn't talk trash, there was a lot of optimism, right? You got the number 1 overall pick. You got a haul for that. You get DJ Moore. It's like, wow, now we got him weapons, because Darnell Mooney's good. Like, I like Darnell Mooney a lot. But like, now you got another guy. You got a true wide receiver 1. Like, we're going to be rocking. The offensive line should be better. And I don't think there started being talk of like, maybe they could be a surprise dark horse team. But it just seems like now, in a matter of 2 weeks, that loss to the Packers was significant, because not only was it not close in that second half, but it was like, if we just beat the Packers, then we could be like, cool, like, we're good. It's Jordan Love's second start. And for the game to end the way it did, I think it just started spiraling after that, and it just hasn't improved, because you have guys running the routes and they're all bunched together. Like, there's 3 receivers like in the same exact spot. It just makes no sense. And if you're helping a young QB or attempting to, it looks bad. And like, Justin Fields coming out and saying about the coaching thing, which I don't think was that big of a deal, but it's also like, hey, like, in terms of like, oh, throwing the coaching under the bus, like, you could just watch, the coaching's not good. But at the same time, him saying I'm being overwhelmed with all that stuff, is that coaching, or is that also Justin Fields? Like, is that processing? Is that an issue? So now Bears fans have gone from, oh, this is our guy, we proved that last year, to go, oh crap, it is week 3 and we don't know if he's the guy anymore. And are we really about to do this all over again?
So, Tree, real quick, you mentioned this in the rundown. What were Fields' exact comments?
He had mentioned that like he was too robotic in a lot of his movements during the game. And he had mentioned they mentioned, okay, what do you think's an issue? As they said, like it might be coaching. And then like there was a lot of sensationalism going on yesterday. And I mean, it kind of told me that he was kind of throwing coaching under the bus, but at the same time, I mean, it's just finger pointing at all angles. And then there was the stuff with Alan Williams too, which is like, there was some stuff going around about like Hallis Hall being raided, Peanut Tillman being the one to catch him.
Yeah.
There was that because he's an FBI agent now, and like some other sensational stuff. But like, do you know anything like about Alan Williams? Is that, like, how much of a loss is that going to be for the defense? And is there really like, I feel, are the Bears really handling this properly? Because they haven't really said much about the situation.
I'll take the second question first.
That's fine.
No, they're not handling it properly. Like, regardless of what we can or can't say about any particular situation going on, and we can't say a lot about Alan Williams' situation because we don't know. We don't have all the facts. You talked about the sensationalism yesterday. That was kind of, to me, very obvious clout chasing tabloid bullshit. Like, oh, Eberflus cried when Peanut Tillman told him that, no.
Yeah, who knew? Yeah, where is this information coming from?
It's not information. It's just it's
it's crap made up by random.
No offense, but it's clickbait. Exactly.
We need to up our game.
Maybe to compete with that. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah,
don't try. So no, they're not handling it correctly on many levels, and we can go through all those. And it's been an absolute shit show for the last 24 hours. Like one mistake after another in terms of PR and how you handle things, getting out in front of a story, which they didn't. You name it. Bad, making things worse. And today was Flex Seal Day at Hallis Hall. Everybody came out.
Everyone hugging and loving.
Everybody, they made them hug at practice. Ryan Poles said no one in our organization is panicking. Bullshit. Yeah, no, I know for a fact there's panic at Hallis Hall. 100%. There are a bunch of folks there that are absolutely crapping themselves, and a bunch of them probably lawyered up yesterday. That's not, today it was kumbaya. We all hold hands. It's nobody's fault. We don't blame Justin. Getsy came out and said, Justin loves his new footwork. And I was like, oh, no, he doesn't. So they're not handling it correctly. Let's just leave it there. Let's go back to the first question. Is Alan Williams' absence going to hamstring the Bears in any way? I don't know how you could say that it would after the week 1 performance, right? The week 1 performance was, as you want to talk about robotic, you can talk about Justin, but like literally stand 4 guys up and have them push into the offensive line, kind of straight and not too hard. That was the defensive game plan for week 1 against the Packers. And Jordan Love was a beneficiary. He had plenty of time, open pockets. He was asked in the week after that, hey, did you ever change the play call based on what the defense was doing? And he said, well, we did change it once, but it was because it came in late.
Yeah, because LaFleur didn't get the play in time. Yeah.
When a quarterback in the NFL comes out and says the defense never in the course of a 60-minute game made us do something different, made us move, made us kill a play, kill. We got to pass and they're in a run defense. Let's switch it up. Not once. Like, they're not missing anything without Alan Williams. If that's what he delivers with an entire summer to get ready for your rival in your home stadium, like if that's the performance you're going to pull out, and that's all going to get lost in all this other stuff because it's way more sensational and there's more noise. Like that defensive performance was horrendous. Like it was the lowest pressure rate recorded by PFF since they started recording pressure rates. Like they just didn't get any and they didn't adjust. They didn't go, oh, hey, our guys aren't winning. Time to blitz, time to overload one side, time to do anything. They just stood them up, walked them into the line, Packers line, well coached, well staffed, went, oh, well, this isn't that hard. Take your time. And they did. And they won the game. So I don't see how that's going to be a big loss for them because he wasn't delivering a lot last year and he delivered nothing with an entire summer to prepare.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the thing too. Their defense is also rebuilding, right? I mean, they traded away significant pieces, which I'm not faulting them for, but they're trading away significant pieces, so they're still rebuilding that defense. We knew it wasn't going to be amazing this year. So, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a huge difference maker with him gone because it didn't look any different than when he was there.
So then why go ahead, Tom.
I was saying, like, at this point, like, I don't even know. The question was just asked, like, how long has it been since the Bears have actually developed a quarterback? And maybe they need to take a Vikings approach.
Honestly,
they go get like a Kirk Cousins and they're like, hey, some guy who's already there, who's like kind of like that middle level guy. And then we just build a team around him and hopefully go win some games with that. Because let's just say they're the worst team in the league this year, right? Let's just say, and they go and get Caleb Williams. I have zero confidence in anybody in that building to develop him.
No,
anybody.
I mean, the only one I can think of as of late is Jim Miller. Like, that's the only one.
Jim Miller is your guy that you developed?
Yeah, like the most recent one.
That's of late.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, what else is there? Rex Grossman never really developed. Jay Cutler was there, but Trubisky never developed. Fields isn't developing. I mean, Tyson Bagent, he may be something, but that's preseason. Hypothetical question, though. If you were in charge of the Bears, you see the situation in front of you right now, what would you do to try and correct the ship? It could be both short-term and long-term.
Yeah, I've been asked this a lot over the last, since the first game, really. Like, this looks bad. What would you do to fix it? It's really difficult to compartmentalize all the damage right now. This is very much like being the captain of a ship and you're getting damage calls from like everywhere. Like, we don't have engines and we're sinking. And, oh yeah, the lifeboats went over last week and we never got new ones. And like, okay, what do you fix? Well, the answer is, everything. So, you'd have to go through piece by piece. I spent, I calm down in different ways than other people do. I spent an hour before this going through all the practice squads in the NFL, looking at offensive linemen. And I was like, who would I take? Because the deal with practice squads when you poach them is you got to bring them onto the active roster, right? So they have to be better than a quote unquote starter or one of your 53, right? You have to kick somebody off to do that. So they've got to be pretty good. Like, they've got to have more potential than the person currently playing, which on a lot of teams is a really tough bar to get over. So you don't see it happen all that often. On the Bears right now, it's not that tough on the offensive line. There are about 4 guys that I looked around the league and said, yeah, this guy's young and he's going to make some young mistakes, but he's also physically gifted. And I've seen him win when he's played either in the preseason or the short time he's been on an active roster. Like, I would rather have him at center than Lucas Patrick right now. I'll take him. Thank you very much. Yes, you're the new starting center. Yeah, Cody Whitehair is going to make the protection calls because he has to. And you patch that together and you do the same thing. You go get some guard backups until Tevin comes back. And tackles are tough. Like, nobody leaves left tackles that are really capable on their practice squad. You get veteran retreads and whatever else. But is that better than Larry Borom? It might be. I'm not sure, again, with the Bears coaching that it would be, but Hakeem Adenji's sitting out there. Like, he's got, 25, 27 starts under his belt. Like, is that better than Larry Borom at left tackle against, name killer edge rusher X that you're going to face next week, because that's the NFL. Like, that's one place you could start. But then even then, it's like Tyreek Smith got released by the Seahawks today. He was a favorite of mine coming out of Ohio State. He was a 5th round guy, had a good preseason. You have no pass rush, right? You have Yannick Ngakoue, who is good and a known and will get his 7 or 8 sacks that he gets every year, and that's great. That's all you got. Dominique Robinson, again, hasn't developed. You got rid of Trevis Gibson. You have no pass rush on the outside. You reinvested both in the draft and free agency to go get some defensive tackles. Billings has looked good. Cool. We like that. Maybe Jaron Dexter is going to be a thing. He looks like he is. He had some great plays against the run. That's, of course, all lost in the wash. But, like, go get Tyreek Smith. Well, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm having a press conference to put out the fire in my building.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, there are tens, if not hundreds of moves that need to be made. One thing I would do, Tree, to address the question really directly is some accountability. Like, I'm sitting Cole Kmet's ass down. Like, he's a liability right now on the field. People say he can block, which is code for Yeah, well, that's a terrible error, but that's an opportunity cost that's really gross. But if you watch Cole Kmet on film, they say, well, he can block, which is code for he's not very fast and he doesn't make contested catches. Well, we know he's not very fast and he doesn't make contested catches. He can't block. He's getting his ass whipped in blocking right now. He is taking like high school angles. He's like moving
so the
at a
thing
guy
that he's supposed to be good at, he's not even good at.
He's not even good at that. Like, and therefore more pressure's coming. Run plays are getting blown up because he's not getting his guy. And he looks surprised that the defender moved. I'm sorry, that's not a thing in the NFL. It's a dynamic game. You can't do that. You can't be like flailing like I was going, but he moved, coach. Like, no, I would sit him. And I'm not, you can't fire him because you just extended him, but you can sit him down for a half, which doesn't sound like a big deal. But in the NFL, like games are the things that get players' attention. Games and money, right? You take away game time, you take away money. And you say, look, you're not doing your job right now. We don't have anybody great behind you, but we're going to sit you down because right now you're more liability than you are buttress on that offensive line. So we're just going to sit you down. Claypool after week 1, I would have sat him down for a half. He apologized. Great. But I would have sat him down for a half and said, nope, we're going to, Tyler Scott's the wide receiver 3. Mooney's 2. Like, next guy up. You don't do your job on the field, you sit. And when you don't do that, like you said before we started, rots from the head, right? If everybody knows that you can just keep screwing up and be bad and stay out there, what's the incentive, right? And right now, what are you going to lose? Like, it's not like, oh, our playoff spot is in danger. If they go to 0-3, do you know what their playoff chances are?
0.
Historically, not 0. Very close.
That's what I was going to say.
It's like 2%.
There is some reprieve. You have the Chiefs up next week, so
should be a roll.
Should be really good for y'all.
This is all okie doke.
Yeah, we've got to pivot. Sorry. We could talk about the Bears until we're blue in the face. I'm not trying to say that I don't enjoy talking about the Bears.
Oh, I don't anymore right now. So, you'd just be joining present company.
Real quick, EJ. So, like, you mentioned Chase Claypool because I think everyone and their mother was like, what is this guy doing? Like, even like first-time football watchers was like, that guy's not doing anything. Like, he's not trying.
He did the same stuff in Pittsburgh. That's all I'm going to say.
It's the thing that you mentioned, though, right? It's that accountability as like a squad. And you're just like, hey, like, if you are not going to play, like, if you're not going to put forth like the best that you have, then you're not going to play on this team. Like, you're not going to get play time. And if that's what they look like week 1, that's not them out of the playoffs week 17. That's not like really late in the season. It's not right after the bye. That is the first game. And you come out like that speaks to me of like, it's more than a quarterback issue. It's more than an offensive line issue. It's systemic.
Well, you saw what McVay did in LA, right?
Yeah.
At Cam Akers, and he and Cam Akers had some heat at practice. They sat down, they had a conversation. It didn't get resolved. They started Kyron Williams. And McVay said, even if Cam Akers gets it back together, he doesn't have a future on this team. He is 100% gone. They trade him to the Vikings for a lukewarm ham sandwich. And that's that. They're going to start Kyron Williams. And, we're on to next. We're going forward next week with Kyron Williams. We're going to talk about the guys that are in the building. Guys that don't want to be on the bus, they're off the bus, right? And there is none of that with coaching or with players of the Bears. So, if Eberflus isn't going to do it to Getsy and, Getsy's not going to do it to Claypool, like, when's it going to happen?
Yeah, and group dynamics, when you have a high performer who's a malcontent, that's worse. That's like the worst situation 100%. Because they drag people with them. They drag all the other high performers. Like, well, if he can get away with that, I can get away with that. And then the problem compounds. All right, Nick Chubb's. Oh, go ahead.
So sorry. So this comment, so I've seen Jose a bunch in the past few weeks talking about the Cardinals because we crap on the Cardinals a lot because we expected them to be the worst. I respect the hell out of the Cardinals because they walked into week 1 and week 2. And yeah, they blew a big game against the Giants, but they're fighting every single week. Like, Josh Dobbs is their quarterback and they are showing more fight than the Bears. And like, that's 100%. When it's a problem.
Yeah, but they showed fight until it was time to lay down.
Until they were like, all right.
Yeah. It was like, okay, we proved that we're good, but like, hey, guys,
we're done.
Pull it back. All right. we too early. 1 year. All right. So Nick Chubb's injury was disgusting. I mean, I don't know if this is like a talking point, obviously. I thought the broadcast did a good job of actually not showing it. Of course, we were going to find it eventually because there's 4chan and there's 7chan and there's things on the internet. What is it? Rule 34, where if it exists, you can find it. someone was going to find this clip of Nick Chubb's leg getting destroyed. Very timely super chat right there. Your thoughts on the broadcast not showing it? I want to know, are you guys fans of showing it or not showing it?
I'd rather show it at least once and then not go over it over and over again. Like, people should have to see it because football is a violent sport. It's a physical game. And unfortunately, like, that sort of thing unfortunately happens. And I love Nick Chubb, and I hate the fact that he's injured. It is terrible for the game. And I hope to God that he can come back, because he had the same injury as a running back at Georgia. It was the same knee. So we don't know if he's even going to come back to full strength or not. He might need 2 surgeries, because I think it was like multiple tears plus meniscus. So that I'm seeing that first time. It's like, that's structural.
Yeah,
and
I saw every L getting torn out of that leg. Like, it's going to be very difficult for him to regain that explosiveness. It reminded me a lot of Marshawn Lattimore when that happened to him, and he became an NFL player, but he just kind of never became the star that he was at, ironically, Georgia, I believe.
You're thinking Marcus
Lattimore. Sorry.
South Carolina.
Yeah. Sorry, South Carolina.
Yeah, you're thinking of that.
It's one of those red teams.
Yeah.
Talented running back,
Yeah, he was really talented.
Yeah.
Imagine that guy in NIL. He would have been making bank. But same thing said, I know there are a lot of people saying about like the dirty hit. I know Minka has come out and said, I'm not a dirty player. My thing is, I don't know if that was him just trying to make the tackle. He didn't expect his knee to break. Maybe it was the sod at Heinz Field. But unfortunately, when the league is actively negating like top hits, like, they're going to aim for the legs. That's unfortunately, that's just how things react. I mean, you're going to have to try and take the player down no matter what you do. And Minka's goal was, unfortunately, to try and take the player down. I don't think he wanted to have him injured. I don't think it was like a deliberately dirty play. But at the same time, it's just one of those unfortunate results that nobody can really do anything about.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a big watcher. I'm like, I'll watch the injury later on the internet. Like, you guys would be horrified of my Google search history, but and I'm not afraid to admit that. But yeah, I don't like it on the broadcast itself. But I'm also morbidly curious. I'm like, all right, just show it. Stop talking about it. And then, but always someone texted to me, and I'm just like, oh, that's gross.
I think the thing is too is like Nick Chubb, and we've talked about this before, but like universally, like he's one of the most beloved players in the NFL. Like no matter like how much bad press the Browns get and like all that stuff, they're like, well, they got Nick Chubb, and like Nick Chubb is by all accounts of what we know, pretty damn good. You
loved watching him play,
and he's just an amazing athlete. Like he's incredible. So I think they'll be okay at running back, but there's no way that they are going to replicate like the production of Nick Chubb. And considering, your hundreds of $1 million quarterback is looking the way that he does, the Browns have a lot more to worry about than an injury to Nick Chubb.
Yeah, they needed that win.
It's going to get real ugly in Cleveland.
Dude, the Browns would be such an easy team to root for if DTR was the quarterback.
I mean, that could happen.
I know, but like we talked about that in the preseason, and we interviewed DTR down at the Shrine Bowl. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, for those of you not familiar, started out at Las Vegas, ended up at UCLA. And he's just a great dude. And his similar quality to Jalen Hurts is that he just learns every year. He was a little bit better at UCLA. He just continually improves. Came in looking pretty good. If that's your starting point in the pros against, NFL speed, you're going to continue to get better. And it would just be so easy to root for that kid if he's leading a team of, very talented guys. Like the Browns roster is good.
It's good. It is a good roster and on both sides of the ball.
Totally get on board with, sort of being a closet like Browns watcher. If DTR was a quarterback, as it is, I'm like, not really interested. Feel a little bad for Jerome Ford, who is Nick Chubb's backup. He was my RB3 or RB4 year he came out. Very talented guy out of Cincinnati, very good catching the ball, a lot of explosion. We saw that when he came in. And now they go out and sign Kareem Hunt, which is kind of like, okay, we'll see.
He knows the
did not look great last year either.
That's the thing. You kind of put a cap over Ford.
But he who else are you going to go get? Like, I mean, again, he, like Tree just said, he knows the system. So it's kind of like, all right, you can just plug and play. And they said Jerome Ford's going to be the leading guy anyway. Like Kareem Hunt's going to be the backup again.
Yeah. I hope so, because Ford's a very good player. It's one of the worst parts of the NFL. Nick Chubb, my RB1 basically forever, argued up and down that he's, a better pure running back than Derrick Henry, which is the person that gets brought up most often. No shade on Henry. Henry's an amazing player, great running back, but Nick Chubb was the best runner in the NFL. And it's a huge loss. And with the extent of the injury, man, it's just like waking up and hearing that, your favorite guitarist got their hand run over, and you're just like, well, they might come back and play that well again, but it's going to be a long road, and there's no guarantee that that'll happen. So there's a bit of nostalgia and certainly a feeling of loss.
Yeah, it's tough. All right, we can do a shorter show today. We can, unless you guys have any topics.
Real quick about the Cowboys with Trayvon Diggs. I wanted to talk, but like, do we think like that is going to like really hurt that? Because this is something that Pardon and I talked about. Like the Cowboys right now look for real, right? But I feel like we say this every year, and like we're not going to really know until they play a team like the 49ers. They're playing the Cardinals this week, right? They faced the Aaron Rodgers-less New York Jets, which is a shell of the team that they had. And then the Giants week 1. Sorry.
In disarray,
Exactly. So do you think the loss of Trayvon Diggs is like significantly going to impact them? Or is it, hey, this sucks, but Micah Parsons, we also need you to play corner as well, or just don't even let the other quarterback throw the ball?
I mean, anytime you lose a starter, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, it's going to create a domino effect, right? Like EJ, you went through when Tevin Jenkins went out, like that created a personnel. The Cowboys have depth. They do have Gilmore, but it's like Trayvon was a starter, an all-pro, or at least at that level, and he makes a lot of turnover. Like he creates turnovers for that defense, and they need them. They need those picks, and it's obviously going to weaken it. And if he's gone for the whole year, that's the only thing. Yeah, that is, I wouldn't say optimistic, but they're going to learn how to adapt without him for sure. They're going to have 15 games to figure that out. Man, their roster is so good though. Like
there's one thing that might work for them. They're going to lose. Well, they're going to lose turnover production either way. Like Diggs is, he's not 101, but he's in the top 5% of defenders in the secondary in the NFL in terms of creating turnovers. They're not going to get that, but the guy that's right behind him on the depth chart, Noah Igbenogany, is a guy that Dan Quinn can work with skill set wise. Like Dan Quinn takes guys like that, has his whole career, and makes them functional pieces. Like it's not going to be an open hole that they have to scheme around. He's going to say, look, I need you to do this 60 or 70% of what Diggs was doing. And he's not probably going to generate the same turnovers, almost zero chance of that. But he can generate a lot of the same sort of defensive friction and heavy duty run stopping that maybe is even better than Diggs, because Diggs is not the best tackler. Igbenogany is a more physical guy. He's a little bit better in press. He's not going to have the ball production, but Quinn knows how to use guys like that. So is it going to be felt? Yes. Is it going to be a massive hole like the Cowboys season is sunk? I don't think so.
No, I don't see that either. I look at the Cowboys schedule, and they're going to be good. They might. And thank God Scooter's not here to hear me compliment them. Like I'm looking at only 4 to maybe 5 losses, Matt.
We promise not to tell him.
Yeah, he can watch the replay, but like I don't see many losses for this Cowboys team. They're going to sweep the Giants, and they're going to sweep the Commanders. So that just, and a split with the Eagles, and that's really it for them. Like they're good. Unfortunately, sucks. Unless, more injuries start racking up, and then we're like, sorry, guys. Back to the 90s where you belong.
Tonight, is there any way? I'm sorry, Gentry.
No, go ahead. I was going to ask a question about Thursday Night Football, too. So
tonight. So what are the odds that the Giants pull off the miracle of miracles and beat the 49ers, who looked at least vulnerable last week, but I think the Rams are just better than people, including myself, gave them credit for. But I think it's tonight might be a tough watch.
Grassi, bet the over on the number of beers I'm gonna have on the live stream.
Oh yeah, no, I'll be drinking with you, buddy.
Bet the over for that guy too.
Yeah,
he's gonna be
we're
streaming
reacting.
tonight.
Yeah, we're all streaming tonight. I guess
Yep.
I'm going to be doing it on the dumpster fire. Tom, you're
Every
probably
prime
on.
time game, baby.
Yep, every primetime game. So we'll all be on the same delay because it's on Amazon Prime. So we'll all get the web feed all at once. My thing is here, the Giants did not look good in the first half against the Cardinals. If it wasn't for the Cardinals' very curious play calling in the second half where they just completely abandoned the run for no reason, they were leading by 3 scores and they just gave up on the run. Like James Conner never touched the ball again, and he was gashing us. And then they made very conservative, curious play calls. Like it just seemed like they had the opportunity to put the game away and they didn't. And then the Giants struggling against the bottom tier of the NFC West team, and you think that they're going to do well against the top tier. Now, it is Thursday night, and things happen. Andrew Thomas is not playing. Saquon Barkley is not playing.
Ayuk's out too.
Ayuk is out. Like, there's a lot of missing pieces here. So unless it's one of those weird, ugly Thursday night games where it's just nobody can score or something like that happens, like it's going to be ugly. Like if you're on Prize Picks and you use the code 5 points for 100% deposit match,
got him
for first time users. I would take all the under projections on any Giants players tonight. That's what I would do. It's going to be ugly, and I'm going to be very salty the entire stream.
It's going to be a time.
Yeah, look at the Giants when they played elite competition, right? Okay, they played against the Cowboys, who's a roster similar. I wouldn't say, maybe the Niners even have a better roster than the Cowboys. And the Giants got wiped. They were taken behind the woodshed, all over the field, all up and down the field, all night. So I'm not very optimistic. It's going to be a bloody, bloody bloodbath. That's what it's going to be.
Shall we go to the countdown?
Yes, we should.
You don't want to hear anybody else's opinion? You guys just agree with me that my team's going to get our asses kicked?
There's no disagreement. No.
Yeah, I mean, it's San Francisco. The only thing you can wish for is if Brock Purdy overthrows his receivers 50 different times.
I don't have a Michael Strahan here to get my back. All right, let's do the countdown here. Hold on.
Sometimes I just... No, none of that.
Yeah. Giants gonna be watching the clock tonight. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 4. How many points will the Giants lose to the 49ers? 4. I messed up the rhymes. I'm sorry. I slept too long. This is what happens when I get 8 hours of sleep. Get loopy.
You tried, though. You tried.
I tried.
Yeah. I appreciate the effort.
Okay.
All right.
I made $151.88.
126.33. I did not win. Yes.
I made 25.36. Thank you, everyone. So, Tom, you're punished again. I was hoping Tree would get punished. Maybe next week when we have the full panel. I think Tree should have to wear a Deshaun Watson jersey in public in Pittsburgh. Like go to a Walmart and have to wear a Deshaun Watson jersey and film everyone's reaction.
Oh boy,
Might want to veto that one, Tree.
Might want to. Come on.
Me in public is not a good sight.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I would pay. Can I contribute to that punishment? With Deshaun Watson jersey.
No.
In Yinzerland.
No.
Let's think of a punishment for Tom.
Yes,
EJ, while they're thinking, where can they find you?
Oh, you can find us on Bootleg Football. Head over to YouTube. Just type in Bootleg. We will be live for the game tonight as well. We've got 2 other weekly pieces of content, a Monday recap and a Friday preview. Friday preview obviously coming out tomorrow, talking about our 5 favorite games for the weekend, but we are with you 3 times a week on Bootleg this year.
There you go. There you go.
I have an idea.
Okay.
So you know how I haven't done it yet, but my punishment is that I need to wear a toupee.
Mm-hmm.
And not say anything unironically through a live stream reaction.
Yeah.
I think you should have to get a bald cap. And
I could do that. The only issue is I'm allergic to latex. So I just have to try to find one that's not made of that. I could do that. I'll wear it for a whole clickbait episode.
You could actually wear
That's
something
it,
underneath
yes.
it too.
Yeah, you could wear like a do-rag or
twinning.
something. I think it would be very funny to see Tom Grossi bald and
All right.
not even acknowledge it, though.
We
Like,
could
show up and we won't even tell Scooter or Perna why you have a bald cap on. Just you're
I
just
dig
a
it.
big bald. How are you allergic to latex? It's just plastic.
I know people who are allergic to
Never
latex. It
actually.
does
Yeah.
happen.
No.
Are you
So
like
that was your excuse when you were about to,
So I'm glad I just learned from balloons and not from other methods.
yes.
So
You
that's-
would have
that's
found
cool.
out in a very unappealing way.
That's the only thing I'm having because I do know people who are allergic to latex and found out the other way. So
The other way.
yeah, no,
That is not a good way to find out.
that's it.
Mhm.
All right, what do you got coming out?
I'm ranking every mascot 1 through 28. Do you guys know which 4 teams do not have mascots?
The Packers.
Mhm.
I know the
Come on,
Steelers
the
got
next
a
2
mascot,
are
so they'll
easy.
know.
Next
Is
2
it-
are really easy.
Is it the Chargers?
That's
No, the
another
Chargers
one.
have
yes.
Boltman. Chargers
No,
have
Boltman is
Boltman.
not official. Boltman is not an official mascot, and the guy resigned when they moved. So no.
wow? Okay.
All right,
Okay.
there's 2 other teams. This is really easy.
Giants?
That's one.
Yeah, as
There's
the Jets.
one more.
And
the
the
Jets
Bears.
is the other one. The Jets. No,
Oh,
the Bears.
Bears.
Staley
Bears
the
have
Bear.
Staley. Bears have
Yo,
Staley.
bro,
Staley
a
the
4 for
Bear.
4. Let's go, boys.
Let's
Let's
go,
go.
baby.
30,
All
30.
right.
Let's go. Tree, what do you got coming
Yes.
out?
Well, I got greatest game Brown Steelers coming out, and I will slowly die on the inside.
There you
Good
go.
times.
Dying.
Well, folks, we appreciate you. This has been Clickbait Sports. We'll
Right.
see you when they see you. Go to subscribe to EJ and Bootleg Football.
yes.
Go do it.
Oh, geez.
Someone end this
What?